right, you're welcome to Candid Conversations. The train is taking us to the doorstep of another veteran, and I'm talking about Mrs. Ndidi Osaka. For those who know the program, I beg una. Well, we're sitting down this morning with the creator of the program. We're going to talk about that program. We're going to talk about Pidgin broadcast in Nigeria, and we're going to look at the broadcast industry, what it was yesterday, what it is today, and what it is likely to be tomorrow. You're welcome to Candid Conversations.
Thank you.
Good to see you after so many years.
Honestly.
How's it been?
Good to see you. I'm fine, no problem.
Right. On Candid Conversations, we just talk about, issues. You're free to say the things you want to say. You're free to pass if there are things you don't want to talk about. But the idea is for people to understand that the path that they're walking now, some people have walked that path, and hopefully they get to pick one or two things from it. I'd like to start off with the very first day that you got on the microphone. Can you remember it vividly?
It's a long journey. Actually started presentation at Martin Street, 45 Martin Street to be precise, where the then MBC2 later converted to FRC2, then to Metro FM, or RN2 before Metro FM, because we got the name metamorphosed to Metro FM when we transferred or we moved to Ikoyi, that's Broadcasting House Ikoyi. I started on one special program. It's like storytelling. I'll just give you 15 minutes of stories about the entire nation or things happening around us. I started from there.
So you were mirroring the things that were
exactly
happening.
We call it "Night True I Talk" storyline. So I was just looking at different things from different angles, and that was at Martin Street. So from there, another idea came up. I said, since I'm doing this just to tell a story, it used to come up at 10:30 a.m. every Wednesday. That was then. So then in broadcasting, you don't go on air and you don't just start a program without what we call program planning conference. So I made that suggestion at that point in time. And my bosses, they were happy. So just for a change. And it got a lot of listenership. So from there, another idea came up. Do you remember Albert Olayemi, a village headmaster?
Okay.
You should remember him. So I now said the best thing. That time we used to have what we call request programs. So others were doing their main programs. I said, it can't just be in English all alone, Queen's English.
Yes.
Let's look for something that will involve the entire society. The market woman, how is he or she involved in? Must we speak English? After all, there's another alternative. And that was what gave me the idea of introducing a request program in Pidgin English. And that is, the title was, as at that time, and okay, it's still, because we did not, until we rested the program, it didn't change. I Salute Una. That was when I Salute Una started. And it was very, very popular. Because we now found out, the marketing departments now gave their report that we sold thousands of request cards. People will, that time you don't just open the lines. There was nothing like telephone interviews, that kind of thing. But by the way, let me digress a bit. You know the telephone with Metro FM, or the then Radio Nigeria, or the then FRCN2. When the Youth World Cup,
yes,
the Junior World Cup. So, and they were trying to, there was this celebration from the National Stadium. They now passed through, with the motorcade, they passed through Martin Street.
yes.
That was when Ike Nandagova, who was our then assistant director, the Radio Nigeria. That was how we now introduced the phone-in. And that brought about the birth of phone-in programs. So we interviewed them because they passed through Martin Street, and we were able to talk to them on the line. And that was how that one was created. So I started with that, let me go back to I Salute Una.
Yes.
And we made a lot of from the request cards. So after that, that one lasted, I won awards, because it was like sending in their papers, say please, no, I said we don't write, just buy. Now right, some people will buy up to 5 cards for one program. So that program started as from there to 30 minutes. We extended it to 1 hour. And that is a long story. It's a long story. At the helm of affairs, the powers that be. You know, Secretariat was at same Secretariat in Ikoyi. From the government, they were sending in requests for us to use on the program. So I did the program first, all alone. By the second week, now said it will be easy for me to do it all alone. Let me look for a second voice. That was how I got Albert Olayemi to be part of it, and we head up. The program was rested after we left Martin Street.
So when the program was rested, what happened?
When it got rested, it was a great, because I now had another idea. But not just that, because I was involved in another program, long throat. The main drama program on radio. It was part of Pidgin and script writing and the rest of them, because actually that program it fetched me a lot of recognition.
Now tell me, what was long throat junction?
The long throat, as the name implies, in Nigerian parlance or in African parlance, yes. Long throat junction. It's like, because we're at Martin Street, it influenced a lot. So sometimes when I leave the office, I just quickly take a walk down Balogu to Idumota and the rest of them. As a broadcaster, you can't keep quiet, not for anything. If you don't nose around, then you are not a good broadcaster. You're not a journalist. Forget about what is happening these days. They don't see, so they don't hear. You must have it. You must have it. In fact, you don't even need to. You'll be disturbed. Midnight, you wake up, you face it. It will be flowing. Throat junction, as the name implies. Long throat junction. In fact, I inherited it, but I now made it. Long throat junction for Bukateria. You know, there's no part of Lagos, especially Martin Street, especially Balogu area, that you won't find a Long throat junction was about a Madam Sauda. That's the woman in charge of the canteen. And Amina, the likes of Tony Aike, AJ, of yours for the asking that time on Martin Street. And then Shola, an illiterate girl. Then Elero, who comes to supply meat. You can imagine how Elero will come into your place or your workshop or your canteen to supply meat on a daily basis. You can imagine the interaction. Without being told, you should know the interaction. Elero, with all his idiosyncrasies, he will behave like a real Elero. Then there's this Shola who doesn't understand E or Z, English language. She turns everything upside down. And then Shola, who is an Oyibo, who can speak good English. So we now is the myth of putting Elero, Madame Sauda, that's the Madame of the canteen, Madame Fesarity canteen. It has different names, so long through junction, but with Madame Sauda of Fesarity canteen. Very intelligent woman. To combine an illiterate with a literate plus the Elero, you can imagine the environment. The Elero comes every day. He will fight with Shola. He will fight with this other girl. And then, no matter what happens, Shola and Sauda, they can never meet. They will always quarrel. Because Elero must look for a way to speak English with Shola. Shola will say, Shola, I don't understand your English language. I mean, I will say, don't mind her, Fesarity canteen. So, Elero wants to befriend Mrs. Sauda's girl, who is Amina. And you can imagine Amina speaking good English.
So you were carrying the messages across through drama.
It broke grounds. It broke grounds. Meanwhile, the Pidgin English request, I now made a request for another one after Long Throat Junction. And I made a request, which I now got Albert Olayemi to be part of my production. So we presented together, and it took me around. That was what really broke the ice.
Okay. For how long have you been doing programs in Pidgin with what it is that you told us?
I don't know, 30-something years. As at that time, before I retired, I started early. Because I just decided that, I looked around, everybody is doing the same thing. I now said no. I needed something different as a producer. Because being a producer, you have to be creative. And I had the urge. It was just flowing. Where do I keep this in? This one has to be tapped. Why should I keep quiet? Then I brought up the idea and I mentioned it to my heads of department then. Sister Princess Banke Ademola was in charge of us then. Pat Egbe was in charge of programs as well. And then Tunde Ayebusi was in charge of drama. As at that time. He was at Iko, but later he came to be one of our, not director then, manager then at Martin Street. So that was how I Salutuna became very, very popular because everybody, every station, not even the station, everybody, they were listening to I Salutuna on request.
Take me through the year that you came into broadcasting. I'm very interested in that.
1978. As a young girl. From secondary school. Because I now did my degree and all that things within the system. I improved myself within the system. That was it. That was why I retired about how many years ago? 7 years ago, isn't it? Yeah, I think so.
1978. That was when you came into broadcasting.
As a librarian. I came in through library.
Okay.
Then because I wasn't supposed to be in library, I didn't have my calling in the library. I now found we had to move into production.
When you talk about calling, what do you mean by you didn't have your calling in the library?
Yes, I wasn't challenged. I wasn't challenged. My drama. Because even there, I was involved Yes, that's another story. You know, you've taken me back. I had another program, Join the Bandwagon. Then, when Join the Bandwagon, I was the only female person in Join the Bandwagon. And that was how I met, in fact, that was how I met, what's his name? Albert Olayemi.
Okay.
Gorimapa, of the village headmaster. It was that Join the Bandwagon that even, it was one of the programs that brought me into limelight before I now started my Pidgin program. That is the main Pidgin program on its own. So Join the Bandwagon was a variety and light entertainment program, 30 minutes. That was how the Pidgin aspect of it. I was the only woman then, the so-called wife of John Chukwu.
The same John Chukwu?
The same John Chukwu.
Okay.
And my popular name, I was the Mama Caro of Join the Bandwagon.
So this is
the Mama Caro.
This is what you've done all your life. This
is it. That variety and light entertainment programs. And I received awards on that program because I was, as at that time, there was not, you couldn't just believe it, that it will happen.
So is this what you have always wanted to do?
You know, as a broadcaster, you're restless. So many things, just to ensure that I get people around me. I get the attention of everybody. Look for something to keep people busy, to be happy about. So I was always looking for something, just to ginger me up, something that will affect a fellow human being. Because these things are happening, but who is telling them this is happening? And I found out that it was another way of my own campaign about the ills of the society. And that was how the Real Major program came up.
Now, what is that major program? Let's talk about it.
It was in real fulfillment after all these years of my efforts, selfless efforts. Why? Because even within that period, when I now got married and the rest of them, you know, I won't tell you lies. I didn't even feel it, even in marriage, that during Christmas period, holiday period, you know, as a broadcaster, I don't know what is happening these days, though. You dare not, how dare you sit at home on a public holiday and you're a producer or you're a presenter or you find some worthless stories to tell that because of this you won't be there. Except for, even when you are bereaved, you keep that aside. That will bring me to another story. You know, let me just remind you. Do you know, the day my father died, I was on air. And I was presenting that very program now. So what actually happened was that along the line, after all these years, when we now, we are still at Martin Street. Ladies and gentlemen, Lagos is a city. Lagos is the entire world. There's nothing you can't find within Lagos, both old and there's no age barrier in Lagos in terms of attitude. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the most beautiful. They're all in Lagos. They all reside in Lagos. Let me now tell you the story. I beg Una, my program, which is still on till tomorrow. I want to thank God. What actually happened along the line, if you're coming from into Lagos, you find out that you see people, the government has been making a lot of noise, spending a lot of money, revenue and the rest of them. People are not complying. Why? The government will erect a bridge here today. By tomorrow morning or in 2 weeks' time, it will be down. People on their own will destroy those things willingly. The rate at which atrocities are committed was on the increase. It wasn't as if people didn't have the opportunity to go to school. Some had it, but just some decided that they will not. And especially in Lagos Island to be precise. So I now observe that on my way to and from office every day, first of all, I had the opportunity of being attacked twice at Akpongbo by some urchins after closing from duty.
Urchins, also known as
area boys. Mama Alaye. Because as they say, they even gave me a name, Mama Alaye.
Okay.
With that, my storytelling, not true, I talk.
True, I talk. So
on that fateful day, we were at Akpongbo waiting for transport at about 5 p.m. From nowhere, there was this pregnant woman. All of us stood by. Then these two boys just walked up straight to her. The next thing, they cut her chain, the jewelry, and then walked past, moved just few steps. And then nobody, Nigerians, Lagosians are great too. Nobody said a word. Then these boys, two of them now came back again to meet the woman and cut the chain like this, and then cut the chain. They were annoyed and gave the woman 2 dirty slaps. You know what they told her? Uriye, now this kind chain your mates they wear for Lagos. Come bring this waiting in the column. Just hit the woman, slapped her. And the woman did like this. Tuna see me see trouble though. My chain no. Now you have destroyed it. You have given me a dirty slap that I went and wore a fake chain inside Lagos. Your mates. Nigerians are wicked in Lagos. Do you know all of us busted into laughter? Instead of pitying the woman, that was one. He gave me another story which I used on Long Through Junction. We used it. So what I'm trying to say is that these were some of the incentives and storylines that I was able to gather.
So your program was practically
mirroring the society. I now tried, if you're coming into Lagos, early hours of the morning, hey, come and see what happens along from Leventis to CMS. Come and see defecation galore. The area boys, you just line up, having their back. In fact, they will look at you, they'll be looking at you like this. You will be ashamed of looking at them, of watching them. So when you look at them, you just move your face. So with all those things, and again, you get back home, there wouldn't be light. In the market, the traders are cheating on you. Being at Martin Street was an opportunity for me. I gathered a lot of things about life, so many things about life. And then, water was not running. The roads were bad. So that was how, and I looked around. So what will I do? I need another program. I said, yes, what if I gather this information, say, mention it on air, then at the same time, invite or call the attention of government, because it's like the government is not even seeing everything. And then we had an opportunity of being at Martin Street, because you now climb to the 7th floor, you see what is happening there. You see all these Oluwole boys, you will see them at a glare on top of Martin Street, 7th floor. When you get there, our journalists, our newsmen, we used to have a lot of fun. Because if you get there, you will see Lagos in its best.
From another lens.
From another lens, yes. So, with all those things, and all those women that cook there, I used to mention it, we used to know what they used to do. Because you see, it is there that you see bankers in their suits, responsible executives. By 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm sure some of my colleagues, they will attest to that. 2 p.m. when they're on break, 1 p.m. when they're on break, you won't believe that along Martin Street, that Oluwole side, you will see these men and women, well-dressed, going to those yards selling. they will now carry plates, go and wash their plates and line up, queuing up for food. So you now ask yourself, is it possible? Balogun women, men, all of them will come out. You buy it. You say, what? Is it possible? I can't say that on air. Because we later found out, when we did our own investigation, we found out the main truth about because sometimes along the line, some of our colleagues, school used to do night duty. We had watched and observed some of the things that they used to do at that Martin Street, Oluwole, such that in the morning they will cook and people come to eat. So it made us take a position at 45 Martin Street. We start buying. And that was part of the things Abeguna saw. And then with all those things, I was just recording everything. So along the line, somewhere along the line, I said to myself, I need a program that I'll be able to involve people, involve government, then talk to them, because everywhere was dirty, no light. The landlords, they were so wicked that as for tenants, what they will now do is to come and remove your roof. Dead of the rainy season, they won't do it during the dry season because you are owing. So all those atrocities, the intimidation of the common man, I said, no, we must have a voice. Then again, I had a grouse with the police. They were all over the place. They were cheating on people, arresting people illegally, and collecting money illegally. So sometimes I'll just record them. Then I'll come to the program and play it and mention it that at so place, at so time, so period, this, policeman did this, did that. I won't tell you lies. That was how the next planning conference, 25 years ago, I was able to suggest a program that will, for the masses, that will make people to have their voice. The downtrodden to have a voice in the society. Because there was no person to complain to. If you go to the law enforcement agents, they'll pull you down. So if you say it on Abeguna, we have it recorded, it will go. That was how the story of Abeguna came in. So I now went ahead to, in one of those planning conferences, because on radio you must have the same thing with television. You must make your vision one, make suggestions, and it has to be approved. You don't just wake up in the morning and go on air. Who are you? It has to be approved by the management. So the management, I wrote my proposal, defended it. They took it up with the management. Management approved it. In fact, they had to seek permission from the headquarters to allow us use the telephone. That was the main thing. So the main body, Radio Nigeria, the broadcasting house, yes, the DGDM, it was now approved. They now said, are you sure this person will be mature enough to handle the public? They said yes. My Ogas defended me, Princess Banka Ademola, Pat Ebo, and the rest of them. And that was how Abeguna came into play. So it came up in October, first week of October, 25 years ago. That was what happened. And that was how Abeguna came to be. And one thing is this, because I can't finish telling the story of Abeguna. The very first day, it went on air for 30 minutes. It was approved, they approved only 30 minutes. On that very first day, I received over 35 calls within 30 minutes. Even after the program, people trooped to Martin Street at our reception there. They wanted to see who the lady was. After that day, the following week, they increased it to 1 hour. Water Corporation, the general manager, was the first to come to defend, because people called and were complaining, even about this K2, that was about K2 and the rest of them. Now got to know about different places. That was how I was able to know so many areas in Lagos. Because once they make a complaint,
you will find their
I will go and find out how, where, when. And you must, if you write, I'll use that, whatever, that to be my weapon to do my own investigation. I was carrying out investigation on that program. Before I knew it, it was increased to 1 hour. From 1 hour, I did the first anniversary. But I won't tell you lies. Abeguna was such that on the eve of Abeguna, I will always do what we call vigil, night vigil. I beg God, ask God to be with me, to direct me. Before that program was created, let me go back, please. I called on my children, my husband, my children, especially my second daughter. I said, I have a program. This is what it is. They have approved of it. But I said, I need something, a string to tie along with this. Say what? I said, I just need something to make it different. I said, what do you mean? I said, it is the good, the bad. So my second daughter now said, no, mommy, it is the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I had to take it up. That, the good, the bad, the ugly. I continued with it for years. I will still go back to my story. Because along the line, Ejiro was now made the Director General of FSN. The very first day of his stepping into Broadcasting House. That was when we had now moved to Martin Street, to Broadcasting House, Ikoyi. It was the first program the program was on air when he stepped into the premises of Broadcasting House. Immediately he came, he was just going around, came into the studio. I was presenting, became my guest. After interviewing him along the line, he said, so such a program exists? He said, yes. He said, look, Ndidi, it's not just the good, the bad, the ugly. This is the most beautiful program on air. It's a fearless program. So that was how Abeguna now got the good, the bad, the ugly, and the most beautiful. Before then, 2 years after Abeguna started, 3 years after Abeguna took off, it received an award, Fame Award. That was when the entire Lagos now knew that there was something like Abeguna. And other stations were joining us from different FM stations. Yes. You're joining. Yeah.
Yes, I know your story. Your life is not complete without Abeguna, so we'll have to go in and out of it. But let's look at what it was for you when you started in broadcasting. If you look at what it was, look at what it is today. How do you characterize, the change that you have seen from yesterday to what it is we have today?
That's based on content
and delivery.
I can't finish that story because along the line, when we came back, when there was this fire inferno at Martin Street that brought the staff of Radio 2 to Martin Street. Uncle T, Tony Bebunade, of blessed memory, they were all there, So when we got to Broadcasting House,
yes,
I want to tell you a story that each time I go on air, in fact, I'll normally fast because you wouldn't know what to. They took me to court too. They took that program to court.
I beg you now.
Yes, but they didn't succeed because that was when the headquarters, they had moved to Abuja then. They now stood firm and said, you cannot. They didn't know that those complaints, because people now talking about police, some of the policemen were suspended through what they heard through the program. And later, I won't mention names, they later came to apologize to me. I was threatened, my life was threatened several times.
Did you ever contemplate quitting?
For where? That's why I can't do it, because it was, broadcasting is good. They didn't know that we had a backup. They didn't know that those calls were not being originated by us. In the strong room, let me not mention it, in the strong room. So when one school needed some money. He sued Abeguna for 5 million naira. Because parents called and were complaining about the school, parents, that kind of thing. Mentioned the area. We went there to investigate. We had not even carried out the story. I'm coming back to your question. We had not even carried out the story and the rest of them. They got their lawyer to sue us. So FRCN, in its own best wisdom, I told you be of blessed memory. They went to town. We went to the logger. The DG called and said, what was this? They now found out. They now brought out everything. Thank God for technology. And played.
You had records.
We had records and played back. Do you know that the school, the management, now had to come to plead with us, and they were forced to pay for airtime to defend and then to apologize to us, to FRA, because they said, well, we should apologize to them in how many media has outside the world and the kind of them. So you have to do that. So they had to come to apologize. They paid airtime to apologize, and it was great. And that was when even at that time the likes of MTN, so many people started identifying with, and it was during Abacha time. You know what it means. They were criticizing the government. I had visitors. National Assembly, everybody would like to be part of Abeguna. And that was it. For the last, sponsors came. Even till tomorrow, the program is still being sponsored. And they came and received awards. So,
back to my question.
Repeat your question again.
Let's talk about content and delivery from what it was during your time, what it is today.
Please. My heart bleeds. My heart bleeds.
Why?
In broadcasting, and I want to thank God for the management of Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. I don't know what is happening these days. Is it that you younger ones, you don't want to work? But we are missing a lot. We are missing a lot. Somebody will have the opportunity to go on air. And then there's what we call NTBB. It flows on air now. What we call NTBB is not to be broadcast. Let me tell you. We say in Pidgin, them born you well to go on air, to open your mouth, to talk rubbish. You are gone. That same moment, you will leave. They'll show you the way out. They'll come into the studio, the organs come into the studio, march you out to the out gate of FRCN. Pick up whatever you have, and that will be the end of the story. But these days, I don't understand. We don't know what is happening. Everybody is the best superstar. Then some stations, I don't know if I should blame government. I think I should, somewhere along the line. I don't know what NBC is doing. I've said it, and I will say it tomorrow. I don't think NBC is doing what they are supposed to be doing. Are they gagging some of these people? Because people just wake up, no content, nothing. I play a part in the training school, FRCN training school, and I talk to my students. How can you, a presenter or a producer, you won't be ready for your program? It is only when you get to the studio, live in the studio, and you are two, then you hear them shamelessly asking us, hey, what are we going to discuss today? How dare you in FRCN? What are we going to discuss today? Is it done anywhere? That means you are not even ready. It is now the public that will give you, your listener that will give you, excuse me, an idea of what you're going to do. What are you telling me? And you're supposed to be content providers. Who is the producer? Who is the presenter? As a producer and a presenter, even if you are not presenting you are not producing the program, you and your producer ought to have met, decide on the content that you are going to use on that program. 24 hours, not even 24 hours. The head of your department would have approved of whatever you are going to do. Is it done these days? I don't think it's happening. Everybody is a superstar because you're head. Why should it happen? Why should it happen? Things are wrong. And I want to believe that, I don't know, I hope the broadcasters are listening. This is the time they should act. There are some stations, I'm sorry to say that, maybe they will say old school. Yes, old school, but we are getting it wrong. There are some foul languages being used on air freely. How can you come on air? We don't want to hear about you. It's not for you, it's the listener. And you know that's, okay, let me give you one good example. Listeners. I tell them even at the training school, you don't say listeners. You're talking to one person.
At a time.
At a time. It's because this is only me. I'm listening and I'm perceiving whatever you're telling me. Me, I'll translate it. You will not join me. I would have made up my mind by the time I utter the next sentence. Hello, listeners. Wrong. It is 100% wrong. We were taught, at least by the old broadcaster, when broadcasting was broadcasting, when journalism was journalism. Did you say, hello, listeners? You will be punished. After answering the query, you'll be taken off air for another 2 weeks or 3. Then you will know what it means. But these days, what do you have? Then some programs, there are certain programs that should not go on air.
Why?
But they are going on air.
Why? Why shouldn't they go on air?
Why shouldn't they? Why should they go on air? When you know that something along the line can put you into trouble.
Okay.
Even your station can incite the public. You have to be careful. That is why I'm now asking myself, where are the supervisors? Because I know that how I was brought up, right there on air, somebody is monitoring you. Right there on air, if you make the mistake of your life by not taking like a newscaster, by not casting the news well, you are in trouble. And that will be the end. You go back to the training school or sabbatical. True or false? Any broadcaster listening to me, you should know. And that is it. Is it happening today? No. That is why there is a flagrant display of mispronunciation of words and ideas. And nobody is addressing it.
Now, at what point did you think that we lost it? Where did we lose the plot?
When we started employing, when we started employing my sister, my brother, my uncle, my auntie, this is my father's office. So they can make me the general manager. Do you know the job? Is it your calling? Then it's not. When, especially private stations are okay, but then how far? The private stations, what do we do? If whatever happens, what I'm trying to say is this: with the private stations, how much do they know? The owner may not be, the owner of this private station may not have anything to do with broadcasting. He's there to employ the real people, the main broadcasters, the professionals, to handle that place. And again, that is what we are saying. Not that you must do everything that government says. Do it the way you're supposed to do it, and explain to the powers that be that this is the way it's supposed to be, so that you don't sell out your conscience. That is it. But for you to get to the studio, I'm sorry, and it's annoying, and it's debasing, that people in the studio, live studio, will be protecting their own interests, and they will be telling you, it's just like me going on air and telling them the story of my life. What has the market woman got to do with it? Is she interested? No, you're wasting airtime. And that is exactly what is happening now, to go and boost your image. Give yourself some pen names and the rest of them, but that is not enough for you to start blackmailing everybody. As it is now, it's like calling the shots, having it yourself, devouring it, and they're giving us the result. And this is bad for the profession. We have to look into that. It's a shame.
Tell us about instances where, of course, some of the people that I want to call your foot soldiers, they are doing well in their respective professions, wherever they find themselves. Tell us about some of the things that they experienced when they went out of line with the job.
The few I know, some couldn't come back because, along the line, if you should lose your beats within the system, it's hard. It's really hard. There were some people I remember, I won't mention names, but they are into some other stations, that kind of thing, but they learned their lessons. Maybe you will have an idea. They will learn their lessons. Some of them are really doing fine. I don't want to mention some stations. Some of them own TV stations, some own radio stations, and they were the products of the main FRCN. And they took to the rules and the regulations, and that is what is guiding them. And that is why they are foremost now. Like some of, yes, come to think about it. If I punished you several times. I just remembered. I got
queries.
Because as a presenter, you're on air, and you come in late the first time, second time, then you mispronounce on air. There's nothing I will do. I won't give you query. I'll de-roster you. And you know the most painful aspect of...
You were good at de-rostering.
Yes.
You just come to the studio and you don't find your name on the roster.
Take you off. Then that pride will come down. You will learn it, whether you like it or not. You will definitely do it. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of discipline. If you don't have that discipline in you, you can't work in a broadcasting house. In the news, any section of broadcasting, you dare not try it, because there are guiding principles.
Now, I want to talk about some of the people that we call your children. There were so many of us at that time. Let me start with Charles and Azul.
Hey, Babejima.
Yes.
Is it Charles? Is it Frank? Frank Edo. Mm-hmm. Name them. Is it? Oh.
There's Funke. There's Cordelia.
See my Funke. See Cordelia. See, I don't know where to start from. There's Comfort, but Comfort is still there. So Comfort has stepped into my shoes now. On Ibeguna now. I don't know where to start from. There are so many. Is it my friends Ilemi Okoka? Is it Emma? Emma Ekpo? There are so many. There are so many. Where do I start from? There are so many. And again, I want to thank. I remember the likes of Ayade. Name them. Oh, you took me by surprise. I can't start remembering all the names now.
Now, how do you feel when you...
John Momo, name them.
There are quite a lot of them. The ones that you brought on, that you named, when you sit back and watch them,
I smile. I say, God, I thank you. Father, I thank you. And I call them. Once in a while, they call me. Mommy, what is... I said, do it this way. Don't do that. We consult. And I remember my brother, I call him Ikureba, Joe Fusen. Not that but we were all together at that. See, what's his name now? Jacob Akiyemi Johnson. Musical Madness. You remember Musical Madness and the rest of them? Yeah. They are really fun. So I'm so proud of them. Really, Mani Onomono. They were my colleagues who I wasn't their senior. Yes. But I learned a lot from them as well.
Yes, so that means...
Selawan, all those are big madams and the rest of them.
It doesn't mean that the person has to be older or
No. Exactly. You know, there's no barrier in broadcasting. If you want to show them that you are a guy, you're wasting your time. Because your junior will be in a better position to teach you. The likes of Alhaji Lawal of blessed memory. Well, Sitoni Aike, Ejere, and you, and the rest of them are all over the place.
Now, someone asked me to have you talk about production. What exactly do we mean by production? You hear things everyone wants to do. Everyone wants to do production. What is that mean? What does it mean to be a producer?
Good. Let me use myself as a good example. I started as a producer. So from the library, I just went straight into production because when I was employed, so now along the line, and I said I wasn't cut out for library work and the rest of them. So I was transferred officially to production and I went for my training and the rest of them. Let me tell you, do you know what? There's nothing as good as production. If you're a presenter and you have no training or no course at all to have anything to do with production, to a presenter, then you are half-baked. It means you are losing a lot. Losing a lot in the sense that without production, you are not complete. Without production, and then you know the rules and the regulation. You know, in presentation, you pass through presentation, you know what I'm talking about. But there, you know, there's a step, you cannot overstep your bounds. Yes. Because there are so many things involved in production. You do your research. First of all, you get the idea. You nurture the idea. You present the idea. You now expatiate. And then you now say to yourself, how do I go about this? What will be the result? After that, it is then you now start thinking about the presenter. Yeah. What's the voice? What is the main, the ideal voice? It is
so not just any presenter. Not every presenter cannot.
Every presenter cannot produce
or present specific programs.
Exactly. It is the producer who has the ears, the eyes, the nose, who is fit for that program, for a particular program. If you are not good on a particular program, they'll tell you that voice doesn't suit that program. Take him or her off immediately. Because you are the producer, you read a lot, go into a lot of research. It's just like, let me use just one good example, documentary. Where does the presenter come in? To travel, to go and get all those materials, to sit back, and then start scripting. From where? And you know, when you are as a producer, you put the audience in perspective.